the middle class is shrinking and Washington doesn't seem to have the right priorities. So that's why we're here today. So in hopes that the message will get out, they will listen to us and help us turn around America.
Every day right now, Working America canvassers are talking to people in Minnesota, in neighborhoods, about how the economy is affecting them. With incomes flat, personal debt skyrocketing, and the cost of energy, gas, and healthcare spiraling out of control, working families are on the brink of disaster. And that's why so many people are joining Working America. Last night, one of our canvas teams was right here in St. Peter, talking to people about healthcare and good jobs. And last night, more than 2/3 of the people that Working America canvassers came into contact with joined Working America. They joined Working America because they're fed up with business as usual, and they want to see change now. One woman that our canvassers met with was facing disabilities that threaten her livelihood, and she's afraid that it's going to cause her to lose her house. That shouldn't be something that people are worrying about right now. Another couple explained how they aren't sure how they're going to be able to afford their health care needs with a $1,300 a month premium costs and with an $8,000 deductible. Healthcare costs shouldn't be something that people are worried about. Right now, 7,000 people are joining Working America every week. 7,000 people who are tired of politicians who are out of touch, tired of corporate interests setting the agenda, and 7,000 people a week that are ready to turn around America.
As you probably know, we are facing a series of layoffs out of the Regional Treatment Center that are of huge concern to all of us who know that the Regional Treatment Center has been a source of good jobs and strong economic development here in the St. Peter area.
My name is Audra Waylett, and I am a security counselor in the Minnesota Sex Offender Program. Here in St. Peter, I'm a very proud union member and a member of Local 404. Right now I have the opportunity and privilege to be a political organizer working for all the members of my union. I will never forget the day that I just started becoming a political organizer, and I got the phone call from my old unit, and they were frantic. Did you hear? They're laying everybody off. Did you get the email? I didn't get the email, obviously being on a leave. But immediately I contacted our president, and we dove into everything head first. We fought with everything that we had, and the fight isn't over, and it won't be, and it's scary. I'm on the bottom of the seniority roster, so we have another round of layoffs coming, and more people are going to be affected. We as security counselors out there know the kind of people that are out there. We have mentally ill and dangerous people. We have sex offenders out there. They need to stay there. We want to make sure that the community is safe and that our employees are safe. Our lives begin to end the day we become silent about the things that matter. It's a quote from Martin Luther King. And throughout this whole process, I knew that this is something that I had to do. I knew that it was okay that I worked around the clock on this. But the things that matter and the things that none of us can become silent about are making sure that we have public safety and that we have worker safety. It's important that we invest in our community and make sure that we have good paying union jobs right here in this town and every other surrounding town. It's important that we keep our parks safe for our children to play, and it's important that your loved ones and your family members that go to work out there and keep every one of you safe walk out of that place the same way that they walked in. And that is why we have to continue this fight. And it's not going to end today, and it's not going to end tomorrow. But the fear that was in my coworkers' eyes when I would go talk to them is something I'll never forget, and it's something that we all need to remember and continue to move our labor movement forward.
Hi, my name is Jeff Van Wyken. I'm the tax fellow with Minnesota 2020. I work with Matt and Tenza in St. Paul. I'm going to be talking to you today about the state local government fiscal situation. The no new tax policies that the state has been pursuing for the last 5 years were supposed to create an economic boom in Minnesota. Minnesota 2020 has compared Minnesota state and local government revenue trends to how well the state's economy is actually performing relative to other states to see whether the no new tax policies have created an economic boom or an economic bust. Minnesota government spending as a share of statewide personal income was 8% above the national average in 2002, and now it's down to approximately 1% below the national average in 2006. So the size of government in Minnesota has not only declined relative to other states, it's also declined in absolute terms as well. Adjusting for inflation, per capita government revenue has fallen by 3.5% since 2002, with the brunt of this revenue loss falling on the backs of local governments, primarily counties, cities, and school districts. Now, one thing is clear. Governor Pawlenty and his no new tax allies have succeeded in shrinking the size of government. So government is shrinking, and taxes are down, so everything should be coming up roses. In a nutshell, this is the argument we hear from the proponents of no new taxes. In theory, lower taxes and smaller government stimulate private investment, which produce more jobs and higher incomes. Not so fast. Cuts in public investment can undermine schools and public infrastructure and public services, and could make Minnesota a less attractive place to do business, and in the long term could do more harm to the state's economy than good. We can get some good indications by looking at Minnesota's economic performance during the era of shrinking government and diminishing public investment. Median household income, which is a better measure of the income situation for the typical family. Here, Minnesota has gone from 29% above the national average in 2002 to 17% above in 2006. Once again, Minnesota has lost ground. Employment growth in Minnesota has gone from being slightly above the national average in 2002 to about 1% below the national average in 2007. In 2005, 2006, and 2007, Minnesota ranked among the bottom 10 states in the nation in terms of their rate of job growth. Three things are certain. First, Minnesota is by no means an economic basket case. We're still performing well relative to other states on most major indicators. However, it's equally clear that our economic performance relative to other states has deteriorated since 2002. Second, the decline in Minnesota economic performance has coincided with a decline in our public investment. And third, the improvement promised by proponents of no new taxes has not materialized. In fact, we've been going in the wrong direction. Now, the excuses offered by no new tax proponents are not very convincing, and they do not explain the degree to which Minnesota's economy has been underperforming the national average. Progressives, on the other hand, do have an explanation for Minnesota's deteriorating performance. First of all, we've been cutting expenditures for education, both K-12 and higher education. We've been cutting funding for local services. That affects everything from police and fire protection to libraries and parks. We've been underfunding transportation, and our transportation infrastructure is showing the wear of it. All of these things affect the quality of life in Minnesota. They affect the willingness of businesses to locate in Minnesota and create jobs, and ultimately these disinvestments turn out to be bad for our economy. Now, one of the signs of insanity is when you keep doing the same thing and expect something different to happen. For nigh on 5.5 years now, Minnesota has been pursuing these no new tax policies, and they have not been working.
I did teach in an inner city school for 3 years, and I know what it's like to try to teach children under No Child Left Behind. And we see that the education system in Minnesota has deteriorated really on all levels. On the K-12 level, I mean, there's been so many cuts both from the state and from the federal government, and as a result, the property taxpayers have really had to carry the burden. We've seen a referendum or a levy on a community every 2 years, and that's really not how schools are supposed to be funded. So we really believe, especially from Washington, D.C., that there needs to be no more unfunded mandates. That if the federal government or the state government requires something of schools and teachers, they need to provide the resources to get them there. My mom grew up on Social Security, and it was only because of Pell Grants and scholarships that she was able to go to college. When she went to college in 1969, Pell Grant paid for almost 90% of her college education. Now I think those Pell Grants pay for about 40% of a student's education, and you have to be very low on the income level to even qualify for those. And middle-class families cannot afford to send their kids. The University of Minnesota is $10,000 a year, and that's really not affordable for many people.